I love great conversations. Hi, my name is Angel Jones. Thank you for joining me on 12-minute convos where I help you create a brand of your own unique, real self. Listen in as I have conversations with amazing people from all over the world. Good night, Chris Barrows. How are you going on this wonderful, beautiful night?
I am doing well. I can't complain. It's a little brisk outside, but not too bad. And I like a little bit of cold, and it's almost winter, so it is winter, I guess. So I enjoy it.
That's wonderful. The episode right before you, when I asked her, how are you going? She said, I cannot complain as well, right? And I said, well, to complain is to remain. And she's in North Carolina. You are where right now?
I am in New Jersey, just about 30-minute car ride outside of New York City.
All right. Well, I guess there's the N is the similarity, right? The North, the New, just attempting to connect dots here. No complaining, right? I love it. Christopher, tell me which of your talents is responsible for us connecting at this time?
I guess it would be the fact that I am a communicator. I try to get out there and talk to as many people as possible, and along that path, somehow, some way, LinkedIn and social media made it very possible for us to connect and made it very easy for us to connect, I should say.
Yeah, it did. And then we could train Skype as well. Yeah, props to Skype. I mean, Skype, you do give trouble sometimes. Most times. But most times you don't, and you make this possible. So big up to Skype as well, right?
Yeah, no, Skype I can certainly appreciate. A lot of my early podcast episodes back in the day were all recorded on Skype. So I wouldn't be where I am without Skype, which I haven't thought of in a very long time, actually.
Yeah,
but it's
we
true.
love Skype, as podcasters. So, Christopher, who did you learn? Or before I even do that, tell us the name of your podcast, Christopher. That was one of the communication tools you use, right?
Yes, I am the host of the Why I Social podcast. It's coming on completion of its third year, going into its fourth, and it's just a show that's focused on telling the stories of folks who are in social media or who do social media well, who maybe haven't got a chance to tell their own story, or who I think deserve to tell their story, and hopefully educating people on some of the good work happening in social media.
Yeah, you do a great job there, my friend. Excellent job. Got to listen to the podcast. Reached out to the guest you had on last. Her name is slipping me right now. I'm sure you remember.
Liz Gross.
Liz Gross. Yeah, she said to the ending, how did she say it? Gross. Because 12 by 12 is a gross, right? I was like, oh, really? That was amazing. That conversation was great. Reached out to her. She responded immediately. She did, what was it? Campus Social, is it?
Campus Sonar is her new business, actually.
Yeah, great conversation. Loved the podcast, my friend. Amazing stuff going on there. So who did you learn that skill from? The skill of having those deep business-like getting the information type conversations?
I think it's genetic, because my grandparents, who unfortunately have both passed over the years, were both communicators, and they like to talk, and I had to listen because I talk so much, and so I learned listening because of that. But they were very good communicators. They told great stories, and they inspired me to want to tell other people's stories.
And why will you continue to repeat this skill now, Christopher?
It's important. It's important, and I have a son. I've got another child on the way, and I think these are skills that hopefully they will embrace and take advantage of, just the rewards that come from them.
Yeah, well, congratulations on the one and the other that's coming. Most definitely, celebration is going to be in store pretty soon, right? And I really love the depth at which you listen, which is fascinating to me, because I think there's a huge value in the power of a conversation, but that really activates when you listen. Is that accurate?
Yes. If you do not take the time to listen, you're missing out on so much that's going on in the world and in a conversation. And I can't claim I was always the best listener. I've learned over the years, but I think we can all improve in that area.
Well, tell us one other thing that you've done consistently over the last 3 years.
Besides the podcast, obviously, that I've done, I think the biggest thing has been to connect and be social and embrace the idea that I can discover new things by getting to know someone who I might not have otherwise connected with. And that's the idea of that my friend Joel Renner has kind of taught me of just be social. And it's this world of social media where we can connect and learn from someone new every day. And it's a much smaller world, and embracing that has been something I've done for the past 3 years and beyond.
How does it make you feel?
It makes me feel good. I mean, conversation is an amazing thing, and when you connect with these persons, across Twitter for me, where I initially met Joel, who I mentioned, I think it's just a wonderful feeling. And again, I think it's a growth opportunity because you're connecting with people who maybe you don't agree with everything they say, but you can learn from them.
Yeah, I think that's a big thing that you just said right there. Not agreeing with everything they say, because I think it's so huge now, right? It's the one thing, like sometimes we speak from a place where we have grown, not understanding that others are doing the same. So I really think that's a very important note to make, amazing audience, when you're reaching out there to have conversations. Understand that it's like 1,000 times multiplied by different out there, but at the same time there are some similarities that really can bring growth. Do you agree, Chris?
I agree, and I think that if we embrace what makes us unique and different, we're better for it.
Yeah, definitely. Suggest to someone out there why they should do what you've done by really drilling down and listening and sharing the value that you gain from conversations.
I think it opens your world, and that's why I suggest people do it. And opening your world is, we so often live in a bubble, and if we are not afraid to get out of a bubble, we are missing part of what life can offer. And to me, I want to live my life to the fullest, and that's why I think it's important, and that's why I would suggest that someone do that.
Amazing audience. Well, you're hearing it live here from Chris Barrows again. He is the podcast host of Why I Social, which I love, right? Love the name. Well, Chris, let's switch gears for a moment now, and let me invite you into my time machine that is surrounded with beautiful, warm, blue Caribbean water. Chris, what is your earliest childhood memory?
I was thinking about this, and the thing that comes to mind is I remember when I was a little boy, and for some reason this stands out. I've always been a geek, but I remember being at the pool and playing with my friend Crystal, and for some reason we played Legend of Zelda, and one of us was Link and one of us was Zelda. I don't know why I remember this. It is literally the earliest childhood memory, and I literally have no clue, why this is the one, but it is. It just is.
That's intriguing. So around what age did you say you were? Average?
I mean, I must have been around 4.5, around that time, because we could go to the pool, and I was not allowed to swim in the big area of a pool. So I know I couldn't have been too old.
Well, can I offer an interpretation to the thought picture you created in my mind?
Sure.
I love the idea of two things that pop out. One, the fact that you understand who you are and your uniqueness, and Link and Zelda, right? The characters being represented by you and your friend, and just the uniqueness that is there, and that as a child you are aware. And the second thing being the water, if you would, the water that represents the communication, the neutral grounds, if you would, that allows us, like in so many other memories, I love painting the picture of how water strips us away from what seems to be the norms, right? Like, think about it. You go to the beach, and well, now they're my mind. They are the nude beaches, right? but most definitely you're most of the times you're just free, right? In the water, it creates this freeness, and to see that being stripped away in the midst of some similarity, it's just a beautiful picture. Differences, yet the uniqueness, but at the same time, the friendship.
Yeah, no, it definitely stands out. And again, this is just, it's funny because it's just a fun memory. I mean, I think of it as we were using our imagination, and I like to think of hopefully still being a creative person as I continue to grow older, but even again that creates the creative spirit you have when you're a child, and hopefully holding on to that. So it's nice to go back to that.
Most definitely. If we fast forwarded to when you were 12 years old, what was your favorite song?
Yeah, this one was tough because I was obsessed still, and I know this song. I swear this song was when I was 12. I for some reason cannot remember when it initially came out, but I loved Crisscross's Jump Jump for some reason for the longest time, and was continued to be obsessed with it into when I was 12 years old. But I also remember at that time, I think that was also when the Macarena came out. That was not my favorite song, but I held on to songs, and I also listened to a lot of classic rock because of my father. So really, Tom Petty and Free Fallin' was the other song that comes to mind.
Wow, definitely a salute of just a variety, right? I mean, Crisscross is making you jump on one end, and then you're doing the Macarena on the other end, right? And then there's the classic rock. Pretty fascinating. Ooh, just like Zelda and Link, right? Well, Chris, we've arrived at our destination, but before we get off of this time machine, there is a small declaration form. Say it's yes or no, possibly a bit more. We're going to move pretty quickly here. Are you ready, Chris?
I'm ready.
Chris, have you chosen someone to pass on your skills to?
Hopefully my children.
Are you married?
Yes.
How many children do you have?
One, with one on the way.
You're right. You said that. Do you believe in God?
I do.
Do you have an inner circle of friends?
I feel I do have an inner circle of friends who I trust with anything.
And do you watch TV for more than 3 hours a day?
3 hours a day? No.
How about 3 hours a week?
Definitely.
What about screen time? The phone and the computer, is it more than 8 or less than 8 hours a day?
More than 8. My job requires it, and I generally don't leave it.
Chris, if you had to share with us your own unique real statement, a statement that represents who you are, what would you say that is?
Oh, that's easy. It's put people first.
Love it. Chris, this has been a great pleasure. Before you leave, is there anything else you'd like to share with our amazing audience?
I would just say take the time to connect with the people in your lives and look them in the eye, have conversations, and appreciate them while they're there. We never know when someone's not going to be with us or what's going to happen in life. So enjoy our life and enjoy the people in it.
Love it. Chris Barrows, this was a great pleasure. I say one more time, thank you for being on what is inspired by 12-Minute Convos with Angel Jones.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for being on 12-Minute Convos with Angel Jones. Stay tuned for more from our advertisers.
Diabetes is a mountain pandemic. It's a disease that's not acute but chronic. Similar to this rhyming method, I have simplified the definition, the signs and symptoms, and the complications of diabetes for both adults and children in my books, Poems for Patients, A Focus on Diabetes, and The ABCs of Diabetes for Children. These books are available on Amazon.com, and for more information, you can visit my website, poemsbyaj.com. That's poemsbyaj.com.